Am I the asshole? For agreeing with the school when they dress-coded my daughter and not fighting it. This is about my youngest. I would like to start off saying the dress code is very reasonable. The rule is don't see undergarments, and this affects the guys more than the girl the pants not being held up boxers or seen thing. I have 3 kids and the older 2 have never been dress-coded. Now my daughter came home and she was in her gym clothes since she got dress-coded. It came with a school email and a picture of the shirt. They took the picture after my daughter changed and it was a swim top cover-up. It's sheer. This makes complete sense to me why she was dress-coded. She got a warning and that was that. Now my daughter and oldest daughter are pissed that I didn't stick up for her. My sister is now on my ass since the kids told her and they all think I am a jerk. So outside opinions on this. Not the asshole. Underwear covered is a totally reasonable dress code and there's not really anything to fight here. She broke the rule. She was told, hey, don't do that. Parents alerted and asked to change clothes. All very appropriate and even-handed responses. Not the asshole. I don't see anything to fight here. The rules aren't unreasonable. Your daughter wasn't wrongly accused of breaking them. And the punishment isn't going to have any long-term consequences on her education or well-being. You're not being a jerk. You're being a parent. Not the asshole. Sheer clothes aren't acceptable at school. Whilst as a parent, you have to have your kids' back. That sometimes means telling why they are wrong. Blindly going along with their choices will lead to them having a very hard time in adult life and managing relationships. Your sister really isn't helping either. Does she have kids? Not the asshole. Kids need to learn what type of clothes are appropriate for each situation. Like it or not, we still live in a society where your value is judged by appearance. Especially professionally. And kids need to be taught that you can't just wear whatever you want to every situation and event. So your daughter went to school wearing a sheer top with bra clearly visible through it. And is upset that she was asked to change? Dress codes are notorious for applying double standards to girls. Gotta watch out for all those naked shoulders and knees distracting the boys. Don't you know? But in this case, the dress code is reasonable and not stupidly sexist. Wear opaque clothing is not an unreasonable rule. Not the asshole. NTA. A sheer top at school? No, not right. Great, she's confident in herself and happy to show it off, but there is time and places to wear that. Even in collage work restraints that would cause you issues. Talk to them and be honest. It's not about what they wore, it's the place they wore it. School have dress codes and you need to follow it, as long as boy-girls are all treated the same for breaking the dress codes, then that's that. Info. What exactly did they want you to stick up for? Her right to ignore the dress code? Not the asshole. I wouldn't fight the school on this one. Even if I did think it was right. This is one of those times my parents would be like, yeah, it's stupid, but I have to go to work tomorrow instead of fighting your school. It's not exactly a hunger strike moment for us. Not the asshole. It's not unreasonable for a school to not want to see undergarments. Your daughter wore a sheer swim top cover-up and got coded. Plain and simple. Nothing to fight against. I don't see what's there to stand up for here. Fight for the right for students to wear see-through clothing? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Too many parents are quick to defend their kids. No matter what. As humans, we have to learn that there are sometimes rules that we don't agree with, but have to follow. In my opinion, backing the school in this situation makes you a good parent. Not the asshole. Wrong is wrong. To blindly stick up for her when she is wrong teaches a bad lesson. I can go out in the world, flaunt the rules, and my family will back me. This is precisely why we are losing educators left and right. Not the asshole. I did argue a dress code violation for one child when I believed the teacher was being overly picky. The administration agreed with me. But basically we all know the dress code. My children have enough approved clothing to wear to school every week. If they decide to wear something that isn't within code, that is for them to deal with. I fucking hate dress codes as they are almost always sexist and or racist, but the one of the few rules I'm on board with is not seeing underwear. It's also not like it was just a bra strap, so not the asshole. Your sister is tough for getting in the way of your parenting. Time to have a talk with her. Info: why do they feel you should have stuck up for her? Do they feel she either didn't violate the rule, that the rule is being interpreted and applied unfairly, unequally, or that the rule itself is flawed? Info: why did she wear under the see-through shirt? Was it her bra or did she have a tank top on? Not the asshole as a woman who has severe issues with dress codes and how they often target young girls and give them lifelong body image issues. I was ready to bring the hammer down on you. But sheer? In gym? No. Just no. I don't know why your sister thinks that's appropriate. But it's not. Dress coding is BS unless it's about safety. Like, no Samantha. You can't wear flip-flops to shop class. 'Cause when you drop a piece of wood and shatter your toenail, we don't want to be responsible. Or sneakers to gym. Like, you need athletic footwear, not sandals tied with hemp. Knee hat will disintegrate in the wrong humidity. Not the asshole. The rules aren't unfair or unreasonable. Why do your daughters and your sister expect you to back your daughter when she was punished for disobeying a rule she knows very well? Actions have consequences. And the world has dress codes. Your kids need to get used to that. Maybe talk to your sister first. Find out what exactly your daughters told her. And explain the actual situation. Let's see if that doesn't change her tune. Info: did you have a conversation about why she thought wearing this would be within the rules? From what you describe, this doesn't sound like a situation where you're the asshole. But the fact that your older daughter also agrees that you're in the wrong here suggests there may be more going on. Like, is this a common way of dressing at the school and your daughter is the only one who's been flagged? I wish we had a no underwear showing rule in real life. Not the asshole. Your daughter was dressed inappropriately for school and needs to know that there are times she has to follow rules that she may not agree with. Not the asshole. It's the rule and probably, unlike many school rules, a reasonable one. I'm not understanding your other daughter's point about standing up for her. The school rule seems pretty unambiguous. Edit wording. Not the asshole. I'm the first person to typically defend dress code rules, as I believe they often villainize young girls and serve to shame them about their bodies early on. However, it is completely reasonable to ask students not to have undergarments showing. Not the asshole. Look, children these days think any rules are unfair. It may have always been the case that people didn't like them. But Reddit has taught me it's even worse these days. She was wearing a damn swimsuit cover-up at school. That isn't appropriate. If it was a single bra strap, I'd throw hands, but a sheer shirt? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. There are some places in which you have to adhere to a dress code. School is one of those places, and the code appears to be reasonable. Not the asshole. And as a teacher, I wish more parents were like you. Not the asshole. You're the parent. Don't let people bully you for parenting. Am I the asshole for being mad over double standards in my marriage? A week ago I asked my daughter to quickly watch her brother 10 months while I picked up some things from the floor that I had been working on during his nap. She rarely gets asked to watch him, as I feel that he is my job, not hers. Hubby came home and saw that she was watching baby and went off on me about how I was irresponsible. Accidents happen quickly and she wouldn't know what to do in a choking event. These are all reasonable fears, so I made the necessary changes to ensure I am there to watch him at all times. Today Sunday I asked him to watch baby as I started baking a large order. I came into the room and noticed he was alone watching TV. I asked him where baby was and he replied that our daughter was watching him in her bedroom. Her bedroom is on the opposite side of the house. And with the TV blaring you could definitely not hear what was going on in her room. I pointed out to him how he yelled at me last week for the same thing and he replied that was different. When asked how, he replied she wants to look after him. She came to ask me if she could. I was so mad. I didn't leave them alone for prolonged periods of time. I was literally in and out of the room during all of that time as I was cleaning up. But that was neglectful and dangerous because I asked her to watch baby. While at the same time it is perfectly okay for her to be left completely alone, rooms away, with the TV on. Because she asked to watch him, so somehow that would mean that she pays closer attention to him. Like accidents don't happen when you choose to look after a baby. He is now mad at me, saying I am overreacting and that I am still in the wrong while he is not. I accept that I was wrong in asking her to watch him. But am I wrong for being mad about the double standards? Not the asshole. Hubby needs to stop babysitting his kid and start parenting his children. Not the asshole. Rules for thee and not for me. He's clearly applying a double standard and doubling down when confronted. Not the asshole. If it's not safe in his mind, it's not safe whether your daughter wants to do it or not. He's absolutely in the wrong for being inconsistent when it benefits him. If hubby wants to talk out of his ass rationalizing his blatant double standard, he should probably remove his head from that ass first so that his hypocrisy and misogyny can be heard more clearly. Not the asshole. Sounds like a terrible marriage. Does he ever support you? What can you do? Sounds like he's the kind of guy that just expects to put you down and get away with it. Do you live like this a lot? You need to stand up for yourself and tell him to be better. Not the asshole. Fuck that shit. If he wants to act like he's the better parent, let him have it. Leave him with the kids for a weekend. He'll be calling you the first hour because
Am I the asshole? For not attending Bio daughter's wedding because her stepsister was not invited. Bio daughter's dad and I relationship did not end on good terms, and while I tried my best to keep the children out of it, he did not agree, and in an attempt to get the kids to side with him, he went on a smear campaign against me. While he didn't accomplish his goal of getting them to want to be with him, he was successful in straining my relationship with my daughter. I tried therapy and every possible, but once she was old enough to refuse, she stopped participating. I remarried when Bio daughter was 13, and my husband had a daughter who is 2 years younger than our Bio daughter. Since the beginning the girls did not get along. At first Bio daughter was the one instigating, but eventually in their teens years, the hate became mutual. Both girls are now in their mid-20s and their relationship has not gotten any better. Bio daughter is getting married next year and she's having a fairly large wedding. I knew since the beginning that stepdaughter was not in the wedding party, but everyone assumed she was at least invited to the ceremony. While talking about the wedding, the topic of stepdaughter was brought up, at which point my daughter said that stepdaughter wasn't invited. When I asked why, her reasoning was that she wants an intimate wedding. This would normally be a reasonable response, except for the fact that even friends that she hadn't seen since elementary school are invited, but her stepsister is not. So I pressed her and she said the reason why she isn't invited is because she's not family. I said if stepsister is not family, then neither is stepdad and her half-siblings, and by proxy I'm also not family, and so if it's a family-only wedding then there is no point in me attending. She obviously got upset and started screaming and ended up leaving. She told her aunts and grandparents, and everyone is saying that I'm an asshole for refusing to attend her wedding. You're the asshole. In a few years you'll be back, either on this sub or another, lamenting that your North Carolina daughter won't let you see her children or answer your calls. This post will be the missing reason. They hate each other. It does not matter who started it or if they were teens. They have a mutual hatred of each other. It's unreasonable for you to assume your stepdaughter would be invited. It's also unreasonable for you to skip your daughter's wedding. Don't blame your ex for straining your relationship with your daughter. You've managed to kill the relationship all on your own. Sorry, you're the asshole. There is a say in weddings guests do not invite. It's your daughter's right to invite who she feels confident with, and even if you disagree it's not your place to question this. It's the then there is no point in me attending for me. If you don't see the issue here, then there is nothing more to say. You're the asshole. It is her wedding. Why are you trying to force her to invite someone she does not like and does not have a relationship with? You are alienating yourself. Question: what does SD think about not being invited to the wedding? Info: what are you glossing over when you blame your ex for your poor relationship with your daughter? I suspect you are omitting a lot that would make your daughter look a whole lot more sympathetic here. Did you cheat on your ex with your current husband or something? Tell me your stepdaughter's the golden child without telling me she's the golden child. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. Now you are straining your relationship with your daughter. They don't like each other. They will never like each other. Get over it. And by proxy I'm also not family. Well, you just demonstrated to her exactly why you aren't. It's her wedding, not yours, FFS. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. Weddings are for people who are special to the bride and groom, for people who would celebrate them. So why would stepsister be invited? The hate is mutual, so stepsister would not be there to genuinely celebrate the bride. The bride's friends would be. Plus your logic as to why you're not family either is just silly. You're too old for this drama. Apologize and stop making this wedding about you. You're the asshole. It's her wedding, she can invite who she wants. She doesn't like her stepsister, why should she invite her? If you don't go, you're obviously picking sides. God, you're an asshole. Just break contact with her and stop being such an insufferable mother. Your life didn't go as you wanted, you hate your ex, let your child be. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. It's amazing that you refer to your daughter as bio daughter in the first place. The entire tone of your post actually leads one to believe that her father's smear campaign wasn't too far from the truth. Your refusal to come to the wedding is you putting the final nail in the coffin that you built with your choices. Enjoy basking in the sun of the victimhood that you created for yourself. Why should she invite someone who hates her and she hates to her wedding? Would you? You are favoring your stepdaughter here. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. X200B. Congratulations on setting fire to what little relationship you had left with your daughter. Stop trying to blame your ex for your bad parenting, and get ready to accept that you will have no place in her life going forward. Hopefully your stepdaughter will make up for it, but I suspect she feels the same way towards you as she does to your daughter. Info: what's your goal? You're the asshole. You know they hate each other. You know they don't regard themselves as sisters. I don't understand why you were expecting your stepdaughter to be invited. Congratulations for destroying your relationship with your daughter. You just told your biological daughter that you wouldn't have chosen your stepdaughter over her is disheartening. I wonder if this has been the trend since the beginning. But it's her choice who she wants at her day. She is choosing to surround herself with people who love and care for her. From all accounts, that is not stepsister. I hope you are able to repair some of the damage, but be prepared for some distance. You're the asshole. She is your daughter and you decide to miss her wedding. You missing her wedding is gonna put it in stone how your relationship is gonna be. Her stepsister doesn't even like her, why should she even want to be there? You chose not to be there for your daughter, remember that, and don't expect her to prioritize you when you don't even care to be there on her wedding. You're the asshole. She didn't invite a stepsister introduced to her at age 13 who she never got along with, and the girls even hated each other at some point in their lives. That's valid. Stepsister might be family to you, but she's not to your daughter. You used that as an excuse to get out of the wedding along with stepdad and her half-sibling. All your work trying to mend the relationship that got strained in the divorce is now out the door, and you have effectively lost your daughter for life. Just because you wanted to force her to invite someone she doesn't like that you forced into her life? Excellent parenting. You're the asshole. Even on her wedding day, you are not putting your bio daughter first. Maybe you should think about that. But if you were capable of actually being objective, you wouldn't have posted in "Am I the asshole?" to start with. Girl, what the hell? Her stepsister not being family to her in no way translates to you, her mother, not being family to her. Loads of people don't consider their parents' new family to be their own family. Why are you being so dramatic? Of course your daughter doesn't want to invite your stepdaughter, by your own admission they hate each other. Why would she invite someone to her wedding that she hates? Why would your stepdaughter even want to? You're inserting yourself and creating a problem where there is none, and choosing your stepdaughter over your own daughter on her wedding day. You're the asshole. You told your daughter you're not her family? WTF is wrong with you? You get a gold medal for the mental gymnastics that brought you to that conclusion. You might be the biggest asshole I've seen on here in a while. You're the asshole 100 times over. Go to your daughter and beg her forgiveness. There are some AITA posts where you know OP is an ass from the title and barely need to read more. You're the asshole. Your post backs up how much of an you are. You're the asshole, obviously. Why do you refer to her as bio daughter? That's very odd. Surely just daughter is the title. It's her wedding and she can invite who she likes. Sure, it's also up to you to decide whether you want to go or not. But not going would make you an even bigger and probably would end your relationship with your daughter. You're the asshole. Even you said the animosity is mutual, it's her wedding and you are trying to impose your family fantasy into it. You're the asshole. I am always so aggravated when parents remarry. Then all of a sudden, their kids are forced into treating all of these new people as family simply because of their parents' dating decisions. Am I the asshole? For not taking part in the bouquet toss at my friend's wedding? A couple of weekends ago I was at the wedding of my good college friend, Amy. For context, I am in a long-term relationship but do not plan on getting married, for various reasons including the fact I don't want a wedding as I hate a lot of the traditions involved for feminist reasons, and don't really care about having one anyway. My friends know all of this. I could not care less if other people do these traditions, and have never judged anyone for doing so. I have had a great time at all of my friends' weddings. At Amy's wedding, we get to the bouquet toss. I don't like this tradition, so in general I opt not to take part, and given I don't even plan on getting married, it makes sense for me to sit it out. When I saw it was happening, I went to go to the bathroom. The maid of honor my friend too saw me leaving and told me that I should wait until after the toss. I said I needed to go, and she then said she'd make them wait. I insisted they go ahead, and this friend gives me a very long stare, a sigh, and then went over to take part in the toss. A few days later the bride and this friend got in touch and expressed how disappointed they were that I didn't take part in this tradition for Amy's sake. Every other unmarried woman took part, and they said that making a clear political statement at Amy's wedding was cruel as they know about my thoughts around all of it. Amy said her bouquet toss memories are now tarnished knowing how much I'm judging it from a feminist perspective. They said I can decide to not do things at my own weddings, but it's only polite to take part in the activities at other people's. I want to make it clear I barely talk about my opinions on this stuff, only when asked and with so many disclaimers that I do not judge people for doing any of it. I am not that person. Am I the asshole? For not taking part? Not the asshole. Good grief. If that's the worst thing that happened at Amy's wedding, she had a really good wedding. Not the asshole, this is ridiculous. Amy said her bouquet toss memories are now tarnished knowing how much I'm judging it from a feminist perspective. Bouquet toss memories? I didn't do a bouquet toss at my own wedding, so maybe I am not understanding the significance, but this is laughably dramatic for something that takes like 1 minute of wedding reception time. Not the asshole. Your Amy friend and Mo need to evolve into this century. Also, who takes attendance at a bouquet toss? Not the asshole, they are being ridiculous. You didn't tarnish a thing, she is just being dramatic. You shouldn't be forced to do anything that makes you uncomfortable or goes against your beliefs for the sake of someone else's moment. Not the asshole. I skipped my sister's bouquet toss because I was in a bad relationship and felt uncomfortable participating. Did she throw a fit about me, her only sister, not participating? No, because you aren't and should not be required to participate. Let the people who want it fight over the flowers, it only makes sense. Not the asshole. Tell your friends to get over themselves. What a freaking stupid reason to get upset. Not the asshole. Good God, do people not have anything better to do with their fucking time other than worry about the dumbest shit? Why this bothers her is beyond me. You're not the asshole. Friends should have respected your choice, knowing your feelings about wedding traditions. Not the asshole. You weren't making a political statement or any other kind of statement by not participating in the bouquet toss. You were simply declining to participate and were being respectful about it by not sitting there drawing attention to yourself but instead going to the ladies' room. They are grossly overreacting. Not the asshole. You'd be a jerk if you had long-winded conversations about how stupid the tradition is at her wedding, but it sounds like you tried to discreetly opt out. Why do they want to force you to do something? I have never participated in a bouquet toss and have heard zero feedback about that. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. That is so dumb. Not the asshole. If that's all it takes to tarnish her memories, then why did she invite anyone? People aren't your puppets to play your games. They're allowed to choose what they do. Not the asshole. While I don't see throwing the bouquet as an anti-woman statement, no one should be required to participate. You tried to get away without making a scene, but the Mo wouldn't let it go. She obviously guessed why you didn't take part. I don't understand why Amy is offended or even cares. Not the asshole. You there, property, get over here. Not the asshole H. If they know you are not going to get married, and you did actually take part and caught the bouquet, wouldn't they be even more upset? Not only did you take part in a tradition you don't care about or support, but everyone who knows you knows that what it's symbolic of is meaningless because you're simply not going to be married. Like someone else said, this is such a non-issue that it sounds like the wedding went great and they don't have anything to actually complain about. Absolutely not the asshole. Why do so many people think because it's their wedding they get to have a say in what people do say or act look at their wedding? You weren't rude. You didn't get on your soapbox regarding all the outdated traditions from when women were basically a commodity. If you going to pee while the bride threw flowers at her friends was the worst thing that happened at her wedding, she should count her lucky stars. Not the asshole. If you don't want to take part, don't. I'd rather only half the women took part, but they really wanted to do it, than all the women were there grudgingly. So I think Amy's opinion is rather silly. Not the asshole. If you're not getting married, why would you want to catch the bouquet for who will get married next? Not the asshole. Political statement. She's being so dramatic. What did she expect you to do? Stand there in the middle of the other unmarried women and just not try at all? I feel like that is a bigger statement than just excusing yourself to the restroom. It's not you took an ear to 9/11 memorial or something. Which would still be your right BTW. Not the asshole. The few weddings I've been to that had this. I've always found this to be a bit cringe. Not the asshole. You expressed your opinion, to guilt you into participating makes them the A, not you. Not the asshole. Sometimes foolish people view conflicting opinions as attacks on their personal choices. This has never been the case. Not the asshole. Now it's mandatory? Because it's not. It's like eating the cake is it isn't. Not the asshole. At my wedding the bouquet bounced 3 times. The woman who caught it didn't want it, threw it back up in the air, and neither did the next woman who caught it. It eventually stayed with my husband's 13-year-old sister, who was thrilled. I still consider that hilarious. I'm 77 and always thought the garter thing was cringy as fuck. I thought bridezillas stopped being bridezillas after the wedding. It appears not. I hope your friend never has a real problem, she will implode. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Also, what is that BS about feminist perspective? If you don't enjoy the tradition, you do not have to take part in it. There is nothing feminist about that. People who bring politics into any and every topic are walking red flags for me. Not the asshole. I want to get married, and I don't participate in these things either. It's treating women like cattle, in my opinion. Like getting married is the only and ultimate goal. And there's no equivalent on the men's side, and they even groan or run from the room when it's happening. It's gross and sexist. Stand your ground. Ye gods and little fishes. What century are we living in? Of course you are not the asshole. I can't believe that people stress over these unimportant details so much. I'm referring to the bride BTW. I must say that I find these wedding stories fascinating and mostly appalling. I'm sure there must be some good ones, but I am beginning to wonder. Glad I never bothered. Also saves on costs of divorce, although there will still be arguments over the books and the albums no matter what. Nata, poor Amy is in for a rough go if this rocks her world. I'm probably be in the minority, but ESH. It's ridiculous that you not participating apparently tarnished it for her, but not participating because you're against marriage sounds silly as well. They're right to think you're judging it, because you are. It's a low-stakes wedding game that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, and surely you could have entertained the bride by participating, i.e. pretending to go for the bouquet. It sounds like you both put too much stock into what's supposed to be something fun and goofy. You're both blowing it way out of proportion. Am I the asshole for refusing to vacation with people who are crazy about recycling? Last November, my husband and I went on a weekend trip to a cabin in upstate NY rural with some of his cousins. I've met these cousins multiple times, but this was the first time going away. One of his second cousins and his wife in their 40s are extremely intense about recycling. For example, one night there were about 25 people to feed and they refused to use the eco-friendly paper plates I brought. They actually told me off for bringing them, and we all used glass. We also brought a case of waters in plastic bottles which we never drink at home. We have a filter and use glasses, but do on the rare time we go away, and as soon as they saw it they told us to bring it back to the car and that they didn't want to see it again. Everyone else had reusable water bottles. We had to go find a collapsible one that happened to be in our car and share that. They also yelled at me when I didn't drink the last sip of my beer, which was warm since I had been drinking it for 2 hours, and they made me drink it before throwing it away because it wastes cans. Then, when I put the fan in the trash, the cousin's wife playfully yelled at me. I don't know her well at all even after I explained we aren't allowed to recycle cans in our town. Overall it was just kind of intense for me. We all paid equal shares to stay there, so I'm not sure why they thought they could run the whole thing. We were already kind of outsides, since we don't see these cousins all that often, so it was pretty uncomfortable. I will say I'm very eco-conscious at home. I use all glass, we compost, and we recycle as much as possible. We have an all-organic yard and wear mostly organic clothing made with fair labor practices. However, I felt annoyed because I had to play specifically by their rules, doing what they thought was important. I didn't yell at anyone else for bringing non-organic food despite the fact that we eat organic, because I understood that we're on vacation and other families may not do things the same, so we have to bend a little. The group is trying to plan again for this year and I told my husband I'm not up for going. It was just too stressful and I would feel like I need to be so careful. He got upset with me and said that while they're annoying, it's not a big deal and I should do one weekend for him to see his extended cousins. He says I'm being a bit harsh towards his cousins and making too much of this. He says he's let plenty of things roll off with my family and wishes I would do the same just for this one weekend. I will say that the cousins weren't super nice and laid around mostly watching TV instead of interacting or playing games, so the recycling thing is mainly what sticks in my head from the whole weekend since there wasn't much else. Now I'm feeling guilty but still really don't want to go. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Let your husband go on the trip without you, no big deal. Either that or go, but tell anyone bossing you around to drop the eco-hassling. It's ridiculous that the cousins think they can order you to finish your beer or share a reusable water bottle. Not the asshole, but also why did you listen to them? I would be like, that's great you don't want a plastic water bottle but these are for me. Why would you let them tell you do finish your beer? You are a full-grown adult. Tell them to gtf from you and pour beer out in front of them. Why are you letting them bully you? Not the asshole. If the in-laws family members make you miserable, then it shouldn't be on you to make happy with them anyway. Compromise only works if both sides are compromising, not one. Frankly, you should have brought up the issues at the time and stood up for yourself. I would have if it was big enough of an annoyance that I wouldn't want to visit them again. I also would have talked about it with the spouse, at least shortly after the trip, so they could reach out to their family about it. They are his family that he wants to visit and wants you to go with him when he could go solo, so he can sort it out. How are you not allowed to recycle aluminium cans in your town? They are one of the most recyclable items you can put in a blue bin, since aluminium is able to be used again and again and again with little waste. Doesn't mean it's free to recycle or doesn't still have emissions associated with it. It's just much easier and cheaper and more environmentally friendly than mining more. Then let him go with his insufferable cousins alone. Not the asshole. Don't go if you don't want to. Your husband should have been sticking up for you. He didn't. The cousins weren't the only jerks. But I almost want to say esh for going along with their demands. WTF is made us? They can't make you. What are they going to do? Destroy your property? Beat you up if you don't? These are all crimes. I wouldn't have followed a single command they attempted to give me. Not the asshole. Why do spouses have to do everything together? I never get the need to drag your significant other to events they don't want to go to and that have little reason for them to be there. This isn't a wedding, funeral, or even dinner with close family, it's cousins that you don't see but once a year. But it's a two-way street. You can't guilt trip him to going to your high school reunions because you don't want to show up alone and then force him to listen to Remember When stories all night long. I will say that the cousins weren't super nice and laid around mostly watching TV instead of interacting or playing games. Electricity creates a lot of waste, and watching TV is bad for the environment. Maybe you can go there and have your own fun? If they want to prioritize being eco-friendly, then so can you. You just have to be more eco-friendly than they are. Not the asshole. Are you an adult? How did they force you drink something you didn't want to? Why do so many people have trouble telling someone to go screw themselves? Man-eyed cash. I say this because we are literally poisoning our earth. I'm a part of that problem too. If someone showed me how to do better, I would take it. The way they approached it was rude too. You are lying. Cans aren't recycled in our town. Bullshit. Cans are the only economical item to recycle, and I can 100% guarantee there is a way to recycle cans in your town. If you have to lie to make your point, you don't have a point. Not the asshole. It's not so much that they are keen on recycling as that you are not compatible, and they did not make you feel welcome. Your husband is wrong to be so unsympathetic. Let him go on the trip while you stay safely away. Not the asshole, but geez, don't be such a pushover. You didn't have to do any of the things they ordered you to do. They are not the boss of you. You should have just told them that you were going to drink your water bottles and dump that last sip of beer whether they like it or not. Your husband is quite the ripe little shit for failing to stand up to them at the time and now blaming you for not wanting to put up with it again. He had his chance to make the trip tolerable for you and chose not to. He has only himself to blame. Not the asshole. It doesn't sound like much of a vacation for you. Your husband can certainly go and spend an eco-friendly weekend with those zealots. If I were you, I'd take my ass to the beach instead. There's no law against married couples taking separate vacations. I'm not sure why they thought they could have run the whole thing. Because apparently you let them. No one can force you to put your bottled water back in the car, ditch your paper plates, or drink the last nasty swig of warm beer. Not the asshole, though, and I wouldn't go again either. And I wouldn't be shy about telling people why, if asked. Are unpleasant to be around. Should be sufficient. You can go and just draw boundaries with them. No, I am not taking my water to the car. No, I am not going to drink warm beer, ma'am. I am a grown-up, please stop treating me like I am your child. I will do what I feel comfortable doing. In essence, tell them to get bent. If it does not work, you can tell your boyfriend you tried. It might work really well and they ask him not to bring you back. Them for their behavior. You for kowtowing to it. Go, but don't let them be so incredibly overbearing. If they tell you you can't use plastic water bottles, tell them to fuck off. I have no idea why you rolled over so quickly. Also, they're complete morons. Once the water bottles have been packaged, the ecological damage is already done. They exist. You can't unmade them by putting them in a car for a weekend. It's one weekend. Bring your own water bottle. Leave the single-use bottles at home. Have a separate bin for soda and beer cans. Someone can take them home. Or leave the bag outside the main bin and housekeeping can take them to recycle and get the money. It's your husband's family. Suck it up.
Am I the asshole? For telling my daughter that life doesn't stop for others because hers isn't going well? I have 3 kids. And my daughter hasn't had the best luck in her romantic life. She's gotten cheated on many times. And her previous relationship were unhealthy. I also believe she's in a toxic relationship with her current boyfriend. My nieces and nephews, along with my other kids, are all happily married. Some starting their own families. It was my sister's birthday recently. And she and her husband had planned the trip for the family. She helped with expenses if needed, but for the most part everyone paid for themselves. My daughter was the only one going by herself. We did things as family. But there were times when we split up to do something with just our partners. So sometimes my daughter was by herself or basically being a third wheel. At the end of the trip, my daughter complained to me how she hated going on the trip. That she felt like it was a cruel joke that she was there by herself. And that the others should not have shown affection to their partners when she was around. This is not the first time she complained about something like this. She's done it after holidays and birthdays as well. I'll admit I'm tired of my daughter complaining about this. So I told her that just because her life isn't going well doesn't mean others will stop living theirs. She hasn't talked to me since. And that was almost 2 weeks ago. My husband is on my side, but I'm worried I'll lose my daughter. Am I the asshole? Edit: she was allowed to bring a friend. Edit: 2 my daughter isn't single, she has a BF. Info: was she invited to bring a friend or a one along? I don't have a lot of sympathy for her demanding people not showing any affection for each other in her presence. And a lot of what you say is valid. However, I don't understand how, on a family vacation, all the couples are going off and leaving her all on her own. That sounds wretched. And I can empathize with how sad it is to watch everyone else be stable and happy when that's not at all available to you. You could acknowledge the validity of her feelings while encouraging her to accept the right of others to be happy. Info: what has led to this pattern in her life of choosing cheaters and toxic relationships? Being single doesn't mean her life isn't going well. The family trip should be accommodating for everyone no matter their relationship status. You're the asshole for this. There were times when we split up to do something with just our partners. So sometimes my daughter was by herself or basically being a third wheel. In my family, there are many single adults. We would never break it up so that all the partners were together and the single adults left to their own. We wouldn't do it no matter how many single people were there, much less if there were just one single person. Family gatherings are just that. You can all break up to do things with only your partners any other time. Not the asshole. This sounds like a normal family trip to me. Everyone has different interests, so it's natural to do some separate activities as a couple. Yeah. It sucks to watch happy couples going separate ways when you're there alone. But there are tons of things for single travelers to do on their own. She could have read a book in her hotel room or explored on her own if she didn't want to be a third wheel. She's 27, not 12. She didn't need constant supervision. And it's ridiculous to expect couples to show no affection simply because one person was alone. How many couples were on the trip? So sometimes my daughter was by herself or basically being a third wheel. Why would you plan couple activities on the trip if not everyone was in a couple? She's 27, for crying out loud. Still pretty young. Her complaining about people showing affection is ridiculous. But have you stopped to think about how she might have felt on this trip? You do not seem to have empathy for your own daughter. Have you tried to help her make better choices to avoid toxic relationships or to improve her self-worth? While your daughter doesn't have a right to demand that couples don't show affection for each other. Based on what you wrote, I can understand where she is coming from. You called your own daughter a third wheel. My parents would never have treated me this way. They did not always approve of my romantic choices when I was younger. But they always tried for me to see my own worth and never just wrote me off. Not the asshole. Ugh. My sister is like this. I can't do things with my husband or kids or friends because she has none. I get sarcastic comments like it must be nice. Your daughter shouldn't have gone. Or gone and tried to have fun, and she needs to stop feeling sorry for herself. Not the asshole. But why didn't her boyfriend come along? Why was his lack of presence everyone else's eggshells to walk on? Esh. You are right. Your lives don't have to be shitty while hers is, and I agree she is a brat regarding this. But you guys basically cutting her out on a family trip is also very shitty. Asshole? No. Tactless? Yeah. Not the asshole. She chose to come alone when, as per OP in the comments post, she had a boyfriend and had the option of bringing him or someone else as a one. Additionally, it was your sister's birthday trip, not a family vacation. Your sister planned her birthday trip and kindly included the family. So the main purpose was her birthday and not a family trip. Plus, I believe it's very normal to break off and do your own thing even on family vacations. That's what me and my family do, and we aren't all couples too. Info. Everyone else brought their partner and you said your daughter has a boyfriend. One you may think is toxic, but a boyfriend nonetheless. So, why was she alone on the trip? Your sister was paying for people who couldn't afford it otherwise, so finances can't be the reason. Why didn't he join you all? Not the asshole. Having fun is a choice. If I were in her shoes, I would have found something fun to do on my own while the couples were out. I'm 32. And I've been single for 5 years. All my friends are in relationships or married. You learn to have fun anyway. And learn to be your own best friend. I don't think what you said sounded like a truth she didn't want to hear. Hopefully she will go to therapy someday. Not saying there's anything wrong with her, just that everyone should go to therapy. And I started going around her age and it helped my attitude towards things a ton. IDK. I was with you until you said you planned a family trip, but left her by herself or made her feel like a third, fifth, whatever wheel. You can't be surprised to hear she didn't enjoy herself on a trip she was all but forgotten about. For a portion of it, it's not like we're exactly in the safest era for a woman to travel in a new city alone. Info. You say my nieces and nephews, along with my other kids, are all happily married. Did you expect your daughter to be married, settled down by now? 27 is still very young. Your daughter needs to learn to be alone and be happy before she gets into another relationship. Sounds like she desperately jumps into relationships to avoid being alone. I find this very sad. You're the asshole. How about I can understand why you feel that way. And I'm so sorry. Why does your generation legitimately only believe in belittling other people's feelings? Why can't you all just validate people? It's getting old. No wonder so many are alienating their aging parents who have never once shown them empathy. You're the asshole. If it's a family trip, why would you make her feel secluded in certain activities? Not the asshole. If the truth makes you lose her, you never had her. Not the asshole. I think she's at the age where she should be able to entertain herself for a couple of hours alone. IDK. Why everyone is saying ESHYTA. Do family trips mean you have to stay the family 24/7? No. I went on a lot of family trips. We always get time alone sometimes. And I'm single too. I think she was being unreasonable. Not the asshole. She chose to go. Addressing her attitude was spot on. Thank you for parenting. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole? For telling my son's pregnant girlfriend to get a job once she has the baby or move out. My son, Stephen, has been getting into trouble with the police for numerous small-time offenses like stealing and fighting, which resulted in him getting sent to juvenile for a few months. When he came out, he had to check in with probation regularly. At the probation office, he met a girl, Lizzie, and they hit it off. She'd just come out after a year inside. Her family are very well off, but they kicked her out, so she was living in a hostel. She was only there temporarily and had nowhere to go after that. So with my permission, Stephen offered her to come and stay with us. When Lizzie first moved in, it was tough for her. She's used to quite a comfortable lifestyle and was hoping to return to one when she came out. But she settled in quickly. I gave Stephen one more chance after he came home. And fair to him, he's managed to get a job laboring on a building site. Lizzie, however, has refused to get a job. Before she got arrested, she was studying for a degree, and sees jobs like cleaning or admin work as beneath her. She's trying to find an entry-level job in the field she was studying, but has had no success. This is a bit of a problem, as even with me and Stephen working, we only just make enough to cover the rent, food and bills. More than once we've had to go days without hot water. Lizzie became pregnant a few months back and decided to keep the baby, which Stephen is fully supporting. I'm happy for them, but this will give us another mouth to feed. I said that as soon as the baby is born, if both mother and baby are healthy, of course. I expect Lizzie to take any job available. I work as a cleaner in evenings and nights, so I'm around in the daytime to take care of the baby, while Stephen and Lizzie work. I told them that if Lizzie refuses, they can look for a place of their own. This made Lizzie cry and say she doesn't want to do a soul-destroying job because she used to have a bright future ahead of her. I understand this and it's unfortunate, but I've worked shitty jobs all my life, and this building site job is the first Stephen ever had. Living where we do, shitty jobs are a part of life, and we won't be able to provide her baby with a comfortable home if she doesn't get one. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole, but to be honest, it might be best for her and the baby and for you if she did both. Got a job and moved out. Not the asshole. She needs to focus on what's in front of her now instead of what could have been. What did she do to get probation in the first place? Not the asshole, but why are you happy for them having a baby? Seriously. They are financially insecure. They both have records. Their job prospects right now are completely dim, and you're happy for them. Doesn't anyone under 25 on Am I the Asshole know about contraception? But on the question of whether Lizzie needs to contribute, you are not the asshole. Her best bet is to show up pregnant at her wealthy parents and beg for support. Seriously. This is her best option. Which is why being happy for them is completely mental. Not the asshole. But why on earth did you let this woman move into your home in the first place? And why are you happy that two incredibly young people who are in an extremely unstable situation are about to have a child they can't afford? That's not a happy situation. It's a disaster. You've been far too accommodating of both of them for too long. I'm glad you're finally standing up for yourself and insisting that she start contributing. Stick to it. Not the asshole. The only thing soul-destroying is her poor choices and laziness. They both need to move out now, or you will become a full-time caregiver to their baby. Not the asshole. This might sound mean, but I hate parents who have kids when they can't afford them. Not the asshole. Lizzie sounds like a mooch and a user. If she refuses to get a job, kick her to the curb. Not the asshole. Lizzie can get a year of work experience under her belt and get a job that will let her finish her degree. It will be hard, but almost everything worth doing is. Is Lizzie banking on her parents magically changing their minds? Hoping that a baby would change their stance? Can she get back to school and take out loans to finish her degree? Lizzie sounds like a petulant, affluent child. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Lizzie should be responsible for herself. Just like any adult. In addition to looking for work, she should apply for government benefits and charitable support. For instance, WIAC would help cover some of her grocery needs. Not the asshole, but if you take care of the baby during the day, you won't get any sleep. And I bet she'll dump the baby on you whenever she goes out. You should talk to your son about contraceptives in case she tries to get pregnant again. She's in this situation because of choices she made. So she doesn't get to be picky about jobs. You will have a baby, so you need to be an adult. Lizzie, what? No, not the asshole. Not the asshole. You offered her a very generous deal considering your finances, and she's really immature. Sure, if you were wealthy and making her take a factory job all day while caring for a newborn baby all night just to build character, I'd say that's mean. But you're offering the best you have, and she's calling you an for doing more for her than her parents are, and not giving her more than you get for yourself. Not the asshole. You gave her a home when her own family wouldn't. You don't have the money to support 3 adults and a baby. This made Lizzie cry and say she doesn't want to do a soul-destroying job because she used to have a bright future ahead of her. You're not the one who screwed that up and alienated her family. She is. How is she going to work when she has a baby? They clearly won't be able to afford childcare. Info: how much time are you going to let her recover after the delivery before making her go back to work? 6 weeks? 3 months? Stephen is the father, so he can pick up extra work for the recovery period after the delivery. Not the asshole. Oh, poor babykins. She'll need to destroy her soul to put a roof over her and her baby's head. Sounds like she needs to cry to her own mommy and daddy instead of bothering you with her crap. She either gets parents hers to foot the bills or she gets a job. Not the asshole, but I think you need stronger boundaries. It was bananas to invite her in. Not the asshole. People need to stop enabling her shitty behaviors and let her hit rock bottom. Until she feels she needs to change, she won't. People constantly changing their lives up to be accommodating to her makes her think she's entitled to special treatment. She is not. Let her face her own consequences for once. Tell them to get jobs and move out now. What bright future. She got herself locked up in juvenile detention. And now she is pregnant. And her parents do not want her. She is living off you. And you are having a tough time making ends meet. Take her to her mom's. Drop her off there. If your son is not happy, then he can find a place to live with her. Not the asshole. Maybe she should have looked around before deciding to have this baby. There is no comfortable life for anyone in your household right now, and she's delusional to think that her teen boyfriend with a record would be able to provide one for her. She's also going to find that taking care of a baby isn't going to be a picnic either. Not the asshole. But you should have kicked her out when she refused to get a job. Now she believed she could get away with mooching off of you and felt secure enough to get pregnant. Not the asshole. They are adults and need to provide for their child. Nobody ever said adulting is easy. A baby means they just sped up the need to grow up.